Untangling Identity Part Dos. We
Untangling
are
Identity Part 2.
back. Yes, talking about gender identity and sexual preferences and all of those wonderfully interesting topics. And to kick us off, we actually wanted to explore some of the comments that we received on TikTok pertaining to our part one of our episode and just hopefully provide some clarity or some insight or some whatever we have to offer pertaining to the comments.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I spoke on some of those comments myself. One thing I do want to get across is that just because we disagree does not mean we're hateful. A person
Yes.
doesn't have to. A person doesn't have to agree with you on everything in order for them to be acceptable or tolerant of everybody. Your opinion is your opinion. Your views is your views, just as mine.
Right.
It does not mean that a person is a bigot, homophobic, or just anything of that nature. We agree and we disagree. And what I said on the last episode pertaining to this subject, I felt that I didn't say anything that was hateful, that was derogatory, or basically inciting, distasteful comments or whatever. But again, I have my own opinion. You have your own opinion. We do not have to always agree on everything. We can respect each other's views and not resort to, we want to toss people into labels and stuff like that. So, I mean, let's be cordial about that. Let's be cordial. Let's be very cordial and respectful.
Agree. So with that being said, let's and they're not in any particular order, so there's that. But let's see. So the first comment by this person whose name I am not going to jack up. So being gay is a choice. So bigoted. Bro needs to open his mind. Exactly. You want to talk about uncomfortable conversations. Why is it so prevalent and acceptable in the Black community to be homophobic? So I'm going to pause there for a second because while we are a part of the Black community, we don't speak for the Black community. So I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like
it needed to be said.
Right. Like people tend to make generalizations because one person said this, that they're representing everybody, but that's not the case. I speak for me. Mike speaks for himself. I don't speak for Mike. Mike doesn't speak for me. Like we can't speak for the larger population, right? So with that being said, to say that it's prevalent and acceptable in the Black community to be homophobic is very much a overgeneralization. Because I know a lot of people in the Black community who are homosexual. So there's that, or have family members who are and are accepting of them. So there's that. So I wish we could lean away from making blanket statements. Like there's that. But also with that being said, even like Mike was saying about the whole, he doesn't feel like anything he said was homophobic. When you go to the root, the etymology of the word homophobic, it is literally a fear of homosexuals, a fear of people who are attracted to the same sex. There was no fear established here. I can't speak for Mike again, like I said. But for me, fear doesn't even come into play. There is no sense of harm or danger or distress or threat to my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being or way of life. Whether people choose to do whatever they do behind closed doors has absolutely no impact on my personal life whatsoever. Do I have beliefs about it? Yes. Do I have practices? Yes. But it has nothing to do with fear or hatred. This is what I believe to be true for myself. This is what I'm teaching and instilling in my children. So no, there is no homophobia here. What you choose to do with yours is completely up to you. That's just not my choice. And like Mike said, we can agree to disagree. Doesn't mean that I hate you. Doesn't mean I'm afraid of you. Just means that I believe differently than you do, and that's okay. So um, there's that. Did you have any commentary, Mike?
Nah, like I'm not gonna lie, I was just reading them all, and it's just like some of them were kind of funny. It was just like you go from people being very intellectual and having a conversation to somehow being like you're real homophobic, closed minded. I'm like,
Right,
while I encourage, the a topic of open discussions and deep diving in uncomfortable conversation, this is what the platform is all about.
right,
Uncomfortable conversation. So let's talk about it. But the closed mindedness is like far from it. And I'm just saying, if anything, we don't see eye to eye on things, or we're not trying to see. But the purpose of anything, purpose of your life is to basically see things from other people's perspective and understand that. Having a one track mind and a one track way of being is not going to basically help you get anywhere. While I understand you're entitled to love who you love, no one's not saying that. No one's not saying you can't love who you love. However, I'm not going to piggyback on this whole my identity is this while I'm physically this.
right,
It is what it
right.
is. Like,
Trying to tell me what my perception of reality is.
yeah, exactly. Like I want to be, I'm black, but I can't go to the cops and be like, no, I'm not an African American man. I'm a white male. It's not going to fly the same. They're still gonna beat the crap out
Oh
of me when they
gosh.
pull me over. I'm just saying. And be like, why are you doing this to me? Because you're black. Oh no, but I'm white. No,
I identify as a white
I
male.
identify as a white man, but I'm still gonna get shot, getting pulled over, or selling CDs, or whatever they do nowadays. They're always finding new reasons to make us a threat. So that's
Right.
the thing. So I don't subscribe to any of that. I don't subscribe to any of that. So we can always talk on something and just leave
Yeah.
it at that. You know what I mean? So, but go ahead, read on.
Okay, so I never said anything about their skin color, but homophobia is definitely a disease. Okay. They're being relegated to a life of suffering because no one is telling them to get professional help. I don't think anybody's being relegated to a life of anything. Everybody, everybody's life has some form of suffering in it. Whether we choose to get help or not, it's just whether we choose to prolong that suffering or not. Professional help includes transitioning, in case you were unaware. Um, I wholeheartedly disagree with that, and not just in terms of homosexuals, but in the big picture of life. So, if, for example, some person was like, "I'm overweight and I have a complex about being overweight, so I'm going to go to professional, and they're going to put me in surgery for me to lose weight." Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. You go, you have this surgery, this bypass, gastric bypass, and now you're thinner, but you still have the same mental processes going on. That didn't solve the problem. It was just a quick fix. Now you're thin, you have the same mental processes, so all of that weight is going to come back on, and you just wasted all that time and energy and recovery for this thing that didn't get fixed. Like, you didn't solve the problem. So for me, I feel like transitioning is a temporary band-aid for something that needs to be treated or managed in a more holistic manner. Like I said, for me, I'm all natural, so I don't believe that anybody should be cut or sliced or anything unless it has to do with their physical health. I mean, even when it comes to their physical health, I feel like that's like a last resort. Like, you have cancer, I feel like chopping that out. I feel like chemotherapy, I feel like all those things should be a last resort to changing your lifestyle. But that's my opinion.